have no idea, bro. I don't know, but yeah, this is gonna be like the last video of 2025, and then 2026 tomorrow I'll post a video. So yeah, I'll just in the description. This is a cyberpunk video. Anyways, timeline. Let's jump on it.
Cyberpunk 2077 started life as a tabletop role-playing game with creator Mike
Night
Pondsmith
City.
and the team establishing rich lore that dates back decades before the events of CD
I was supposed
Projekt
to do
Red's
this in
game
July.
kicks off. Luckily
this
for us,
summer.
the
I
game
didn't
and the
do it.
tabletop role-playing game share the same timeline. So without further ado, let's dig into the timeline of Night City and Cyberpunk 2077.
The 90s.
Before we get started, a note. The Cyberpunk timeline and our own real-world one were pretty much one and the same until the late 80s, early 90s. Fun fact,
What?
this is why, in 2077, the missions are named after songs that were popular around that time. Before 1990, the only big event that's important for our timeline
Arasaka.
happened in the 1910s. Sasai Arasaka founded the Arasaka Corporation, a
real
manufacturing
thing?
company based in Japan that would soon expand to a global market, and then empire. If you've played Cyberpunk 2077, that company's name will be a little familiar to you. Leaping forth to the 1980s, in 1988, Robert John Linder was born in Texas, but you might know him better as one Johnny Silverhand.
These are real stuff in real life. Hell no. I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
It's the 90s where things get spicy in Cyberpunk's timeline because, frankly, this is where things really start going to for America, at least in the Cyberpunk universe. Everything's obviously going great in the real world. Since the 1950s, the Gang of Four, a group made up of government agencies including the FBI and the DEA, were working to amass global power and influence. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the Soviet Union had collapsed, and in 1992, a treaty was signed by various European powers to establish a new currency, the Eurodollar. The Gang of Four was unhappy for a number of reasons. First of all, there was a rise of power in Europe, and a bunch of countries banded together to form the European Economic Community. The EEC also started cozying up with the Neo-Soviets, and NATO collapsed. So the Gang of Four began work to destabilize Europe by interfering in treaty discussions and manipulating the stock market. This was called the Quiet War, which came to a head in 1994, when the EEC uncovered the United States of America's interference and publicly outed them. The result caused the world's stock market to crash and isolated America from other countries who were understandably fed up with its interference. At the same time, the US was interfering in Central America, attempting to annex Panama after the Panama Canal Treaty expired. Hundreds of thousands were killed, and the DEA even engineered plagues to target the opium and coca plants, which got the attention of the South American drug lords, who entered the fray supported by the Eurocorps. After a particularly nasty attack on Bogota, the drug lords set off a nuke in New York City.
This is mad creepy. This is scary as hell. Like dark. This is like a black and
killing thousands. In 1996, things became dire. An event known as the collapse of the United States began. After the stock market crashed, homelessness, unemployment, and crime rose steeply. 1 in 4 Americans became homeless, and the weakened US government was powerless to do anything about it. The US Constitution was suspended and martial law was declared. Amidst the chaos, a businessman named Richard Knight sensed opportunity. He started a company called Knight International with the end goal of building a new city, a haven from crime and corruption. To get the capital he needed, he cozied up to major corporations to get them on side, and in 1992 had the backing of massive companies such as Arasaka. After a massacre at a town called Morro Bay, he was able to buy a plot of land very cheaply, and work would begin on what was then known as Coronado City. Unfortunately, during construction, Knight made powerful enemies of the local mobs, who tightly controlled the construction companies on the west coast. In 1998, they ordered a hit on Knight, and after his death, the city was renamed Night City as a twisted joke. Throughout the end of the 90s, the world continued its downward spiral. There was a thermonuclear war in the Middle East, the Midwest suffered severe drought, a 10.5 quake killed 65,000 in Los Angeles, and various doomsday cults began to form as the millennium approaches.
2000? This is time of the game?
And just like in real life, the world didn't end on the 1st of January 2000, but the Millennium cults mostly died off anyway.
Wait, what? Hold on. All of this event is in real life? My brain, I don't understand, bro. Real life events and then they... Okay.
Last long, however, and he lost his arm in the conflict. After discovering just how corrupt the American government was, he deserted and ended up in Night City. He changed his name to Johnny Silverhand to represent his new shiny limb and started a band with his pal Kerry Eurodyne. That band's name? Samurai. Meanwhile, the poorer folks began to use tech to fight back, implanting cyberware into themselves and obtaining weapons to stand up against the ruling elite. After Richard Knight's death, the corporations and mobs struggled for control of Night City, but by 2005, the mob took over, and the city quickly fell into a place of disrepute. The corporations began to fight back, and the mob war started. The corpos cleaned up the streets of Night City by shedding the blood of any mobster in their way.
Oh no, 2010s. Okay.
By the time the 2010s rolled around, the corpos had Night City under control, complete with a puppet governor in charge. At this point, Johnny Silverhand's band Samurai had already split, but Johnny was still extremely popular, playing gigs and using his platform to speak out against the oppression he witnessed all over. He clearly ruffled a few feathers because in 2013 he was attacked by Arasaka thugs after a gig. Johnny was roughed up and his girlfriend Alt Cunningham was kidnapped. Alt was a talented netrunner and the creator of Soul Killer, a program that preserved the human consciousness, which attracted the attention of Arasaka. Arasaka wanted Alt to write a version of...
Okay, now I see why in the game, spoilers, in the game when Bro found her, she was already dead. No wonder why they captured her. I was confused at first.
But to create the Black Wall, an AI that was able to contain the damage. In an attempt to quell the war, governments began to nationalize Arasaka and Militech facilities within their borders. The fighting had mostly died down, save for in Night City, where Arasaka had really dug its heels in. In 2023, Militech sent a team of covert operatives, including Johnny Silverhand, to find Alt Cunningham's AI and to detonate a nuke in Arasaka's Night City HQ to destroy Soul Killer. Johnny and his team were ambushed by a powerful cyborg named Adam Smasher, and an almost dead Johnny was digitized, with his personality and memories stored on an engram. The nuke was still detonated, and the top floors of Arasaka Tower were destroyed. Hundreds of thousands died, and President Elizabeth Kress called a state of emergency, nationalized Militech, and expelled Arasaka from the country after framing them for the nuke. Other countries around the world followed suit, and the war was over. Arasaka was banished to Japan, and to save face, the Japanese government forced the corporation to take blame for the conflict. As a result of the nuke and orbital strikes in the atmosphere, the sky was turned red for a couple of years. This was known as the Time of the Red.
When I'm like the air being red for that long. Wait, isn't this I don't know, the dry area? No, I don't really know.
Wrecked by the data crash and the war, the net was limited, and the world struggled to rebuild in this time.
According to 2030s.
In the 2030s, rumors would begin to spread that Johnny Silverhand's body had been discovered. Tensions rose in the US, which was still under a dictatorship after Kress's state of emergency. After the nuke was dropped, various states, including Washington and Northern California, unified into a confederation, a new power in the country. As a result of this newfound union, Night City was permitted to become an independent city-state, used by the Confederation as a free trade zone and a place for dealings with the rest of the world to be done. Over the next few decades, the world tried to rebuild. The mega-corporations continued to claw back power, and various disasters swept the planet. Haiti was wrecked by storms and flooding, and many sought refuge in Night City.
Wow, it's just 2060s. God damn.
In 2069, Kress was finally ousted as president of the...
2069? Yeah, hell no, bro.
United States of America, as it had been rebranded at some point during the 2040s. An ex-Militech CEO, Rosalind Myers, was elected. One of her first acts was the Unification War, a bid to annex the 3 states that had separated from federal rule, including Night City. Soldier Kurt Hansen led Operation Midnight Storm to establish an NUSA staging ground in the middle of Night City, but was abandoned by his government. He dug his heels in and founded a new enclave for himself, Dogtown. You know, that one from Phantom Liberty.
Why did you get Phantom Liberty, bro? 2070s.
In 2070, most of the Free States had been occupied by federal forces, with Night City being the last holdout. As the NUSA army approached, the city requested help from the exiled Arasaka Corporation, causing the NUSA army to retreat. With Arasaka back on the board, the NUSA and the Free States signed a treaty, and the Megacorp was permitted to return to America. At the end of the Unification War, as it was called, FIA agents Solomon Reed and So-Mi are in Night City and told to kill an Arasaka admiral. But before they can, they're told to abandon their mission by President Myers. The Arasaka admiral ended up being killed by another FIA agent anyway, but during their extraction from Night City, So-Mi betrays Reed at Myers' request to tie off a loose end. But Reed survives, so more on him later. So-Mi is a talented netrunner who'd been recruited at a fairly young age by the FIA, but over her training had been pushed to go beyond the Black Wall, where her mind had been infected by the damaged AIs that lie beyond it. 2076 sees the events of the Netflix series Cyberpunk Edge Runners. David Martinez is able to get into Arasaka.
Oh, yeah, okay, now I understand now. So 2060 is this Edge. This makes no sense at all. How y'all gonna release a game and any anime 26? You couldn't release the anime for no.
Okay. Thanks to his mother's efforts as an EMT, doesn't fit in with his elitist schoolmates, and after an incident where his software injures his classmates, he's asked to leave. David and his mother are bystanders to an altercation between Arasaka and the animals, and his mother passes away. David discovers that his mother had a military-grade neural implant that she'd procured from a patient. David installs the implant and befriends a Night City merc called Lucy. Realizing that the implant makes David a worthy initiate to their mercenary gang, Lucy's crew invites him to join. However, the gang's leader, Maine, struggles with cyberpsychosis, an issue where his brain can't handle the amount of cyberware he has installed. Maine is responsible for the death of another gang member, Dorio, and is eventually killed by MaxTac on a job. After Maine's death, David takes over the gang but begins to lose himself, with Lucy, now his girlfriend, even worried about his over-reliance on cyberware. David and the gang take on more high-profile jobs and catch the attention of Militech and Arasaka, who send Adam Smasher after him.
Hell no.
Sadly, the battle ends with Smasher killing David, but Lucy manages to escape and ends up visiting the moon, which had been her lifelong dream. Later on in 2076, a Night City merc named V.
Sucker, Adam Lasher. This sucker big as hell, running like Sonic, Ponic, Lonic, Donic, Phonic. Think he's strong. Sucker, I'm coming for you in the game, pause. Got me messed up. Adam Dasher.
Meets one Jackie Wells, and the two form a fast friendship.
77, okay, finally.
That brings us to 2077. Arasaka are up to their old tricks and announce the Relic, a device which personalities can be imprinted onto, theoretically promising eternal life. V and Jackie undertake a number of gigs for local fixers before hitting the big time, a job from Dexter DeShawn. V and Jackie are tasked with stealing the relic from Yorinobu Arasaka, and despite being successful, their escape isn't easy. They're accidentally witness to Yorinobu killing his father Saburo, and Jackie is killed in the escape. V is also grievously wounded, and the relic shard is slotted into their body to keep it safe. V dies, and their body is dumped in a local landfill. Hoping to bring Yorinobu to justice, Saburo's ex-bodyguard Takamura finds V's body and brings it to a fixer in Night City. The relic resurrects V, but there's a catch. Johnny Silverhand is also on the relic and is threatening to override V's consciousness. V has some pills that can keep Johnny's domineering personality at bay for a while, but needs to find a solution to fix the situation permanently. To unravel the mystery, V tracks down Evelyn Parker, the person who originally gave the gig to Dexter DeShawn. Evelyn reveals that she was actually hired by the Voodoo Boys to get the relic. Now, the Voodoo Boys are a gang made up of very skilled netrunners, and they agree to help V meet Holt Cunningham. Remember, she's Johnny's ex-girlfriend, whose consciousness is trapped behind the Black Wall in the net. V learns that it could be possible to rewrite the data on the relic, with the help of Johnny's other ex, Rogue, and boy is this messy. V tracks down the relic's original creator, Anders Hellman. After enlisting the help of Nomad Pam and her group, the Aldecaldos, V kidnaps Hellman, but unfortunately learns that the process isn't possible and that the relic is inextricably linked to their neural system.
Phantom Liberty.
Now, before we get to the end of Cyberpunk 2077, I'm going to take a quick detour to Phantom Liberty, the game's expansion that takes place in the middle of the main game. At the start of Phantom Liberty, V is contacted by Songbird, aka So-Mi, who tells V that President Myers' ship is about to be shot down over the district of Dogtown, and that V needs to go help. After securing the president, Myers asks V to help find Songbird, and to do that, they'll need the help of Songbird's old partner, Solomon Reed, who's been in hiding in Dogtown for years. It turns out that Songbird made a deal with the leader of Dogtown, Kurt Hansen, to crash the ship. In return, Songbird would get access to a neural matrix that would fix her brain from the damage done by the Blackwall. With another ex-agent, Alex, V and the team infiltrate Hansen's nightclub and steal the identities of a pair of skilled Netrunner twins. It's here that the story can take many different forms. Either you can side with Songbird, who wants to take the neural network and be free, or with Reed, who, despite caring for Songbird, would just...
You can draw your weapon to it? Yeah. Oh my god, bro. Oh my god, if I get the DLC right.
Take her to another facility to be cured and potentially back under the control of President Myers.
So we back at what? Okay,
Back to the main 2077 plot. V meets with Takamura, who is still itching for justice, and with V's help, contacts Saboro's daughter, Hanako, to tell her of her brother's betrayal. Adam Smasher, now acting as Yorinobu's bodyguard and head of security for Arasaka, ambushes V, and there are different ways that this one can play out too. Either V can kill him, or be killed. After escaping Arasaka Tower, the relic malfunctions again, meaning that V's time is coming to an end. Cyberpunk 2077 has multiple endings. V can either become an engram, or live out the time they have left, or even choose to kill themselves. Phantom Liberty also introduced another new ending, but I'll let you uncover that one by yourselves. Either way, V ends the game as a legend of Night City. So there you have it, the complete timeline of Cyberpunk 2077. Now, there are a lot of finer details I skipped because the lore is so rich from the tabletop role-playing game. I really recommend grabbing a copy and reading through it, or even running a game with your friends. For more on Cyberpunk 2077 and the brand new expansion Phantom Liberty, head over to youtube.com/GameSpot or GameSpot.com, where you can find out why we gave it a 10 out of 10.
I'm about to get mad. This game, there's so many endings. Bam. Anyways, bro. See y'all in 2020. I'm just playing. I'm about to record this at night time, and I might do a scary Five Nights at Freddy's reaction tomorrow. So